Hello, everybody. This is Sue Frederick, Reverend Sue Frederick, and we are starting our Angelic Patreon meeting. And I want to start with a little pray in to the angels. So we close our eyes and take a deep breath, and another. And as we do this, we feel the angels coming to wrap their energy, their love, their higher frequency around us. All humans have times of struggle on earth, of pain, of grief, of sorrow. And we know that the angels are our go-to helpers. They understand our struggles. They lift us up without question. And so today we are so grateful to connect with them, to feel their love. And so it is. I wanted to share a prayer that I wrote this morning because, as one of the human stones of suffering on earth, I have a cat that I've loved more than any cat I've ever had in my lifetime, Kirabo. Her name means gift from God, and she's only 4. And last year feels like a year. Last Thursday, I found out she has something in her stomach, an obstruction, and we're doing a procedure tomorrow morning. So, in spite of all my work to lift up above it, I have spent a lot of hours in grief and fear about this baby girl, my beloved kitty. And this is the walk we do on earth. We have a part where we feel like we're doing pretty well and we're being productive and happy and joyful. And then another thing lands on our lap that causes us to have to call in the angels for help. And sometimes when things are going well, I forget to call in the angels for help. And then something like this happens, and I can hardly get through an hour without the angels helping. And I also know as I say this that loving and losing a cat is not nearly as painful as what so many of you have been through. Those of you who've lost a child or haven't lost a child, but your child is in spirit. And those of us who suffer with all kinds of illness, there are many, many stones of pain, of heaviness that we face as humans. And today we will talk about those. But I also want to share this prayer that came to me because as I've taught over the years, when we're struggling with these feelings, one of the best things we can do is pull out the pen and paper and write, "Dear angels," or "Dear departed loved one," or "Dear God," whatever our easiest go-to connection is, and we start writing what they are telling us. So here is today. I have to take a sip of water. Here is today what I received from the beautiful angels. Hold on one second here. Yeah. Dearly beloved angels, do you truly understand how hard our earth life can be? How our bodies can feel intense pain and heaviness and sickness? How our minds can dizzy us with fearful thoughts? How our hearts can shatter and feel hopeless, terminal? How we can suddenly feel unloved in a room of people we thought loved us? How we can look into a mirror and cry with disappointment in ourselves and in the world? How it feels like a hole has been ripped inside of our hearts when we watch a loved one suffer. Earth pain is enormous, and still we rise again. We get out of bed. We try again. We strive to connect with others, to feel better. We lift up, open up again and again in our earth journeys. We rise above pain and find love, give love, feel love. Tell us now, beloved angels, tell us now, must we feel these heavy stones weighing us down on earth? Is pain necessary? Is pain helpful? Is the essence of the human journey to be weighed down in sorrow? We need you, angels. We need you now, every moment of every day on earth. Show us how to feel you with us in visceral ways through all of our senses during our darkest nights, our most terrifying moments. Lift us up. Return us to the angelic state. Even as we stand here on earth, lost in our sorrows, we beseech you to change everything about the human journey. And even now, the sun rises, the light pours through the window. I see hope. It has wings. It carries me to the sky. A new day begins, and I'm grateful. That's my prayer today. So I was just going to ask all of you if you had any angel experiences you wanted to share from your week, or even from your month, or even from your whole life, to lift us up in our human journeys today, or questions. Questions are always invited, but you also have to unmute yourself.
I can go.
Go ahead.
So I am, as you well know, transitioning from, a day job to doing spiritual work. And the project I'm working on, I have just hit so many green lights, green light, green light, green light. It's like everybody that I reach out to and ask for help, they say, of course, what else can I do? It's been really unbelievable. And I was just saying to a friend, like, what I really need is somebody who's not involved in the story, who can be an editorial support for me to say that's too out there, or that you're losing the thread or whatever. And I met a friend who she went to school for documentary filmmaking, and she is a PA now, and she wants to help. She's like, anything I can do. She'll help me shoot, whatever. So that's amazing. And I have been asking because, when you transition, I'm in some financial fear,
Yeah.
And I have asked, I don't think that the angels are going to fly down and present me a giant check, but I've asked to take the fear away.
Mm.
And I should probably be terrified, but I'm not, you know?
Mhm.
And a couple of things have happened it's not all taken care of, but a couple of things have happened just this morning to kind of lift the burden slightly.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I love that. And, it goes right in alignment with how I believe the universe helps us when we say we're ready to move forward and do our true work, our great work. That's why my first book was I See Your Dream Job, because I do believe, and I have proof in my life and in thousands of clients, that we each have a great work we came here to do. And it may be unconventional, it may be spiritual, it may be alternative, and yet it is in the flow of money. And that's the thing, I want everyone to erase the idea that doing something spiritual is got to be volunteer work. That's ridiculous. That's a human mind story that earthlings gave ourselves. We are each here to make our abundance, to make our living from doing our highest and best work, our spiritual work. So when Amber is ready to quit her marketing career and do an angelic documentary about departed children, of course, doors are going to open. And the law that I've learned with it is we have to put our heart and soul in it. We have to work at it diligently, just as we would work at any other career. We have to embrace that our work and our time is worth money and charge for it. And we also have to say, this is worthy work, worthy of supporting me in the world. And I embrace the flow of money, which is just energy in this earth realm, to support me doing this so I can continue to do it. And I've worked with thousands of clients, helping them make that shift. I've done it too. And like Amber was saying, it's never easy. You don't suddenly wake up and have a check for $1 million come to you out of nowhere. You wake up and go, what steps can I take today to make this happen, to get this moving, to start creating the money, the abundance from it? And those actions, those questions make it happen. As I've worked with clients, the thing that stops them is number one, everyone around you will tell you that it's not worthy of money, that you're crazy. I was a single mom with a 4-year-old daughter when my previous career as a health writer for the natural health industry really crashed and burned. And I was like in a six-figure income world in that work. And it crashed and burned, 1999, the dot-com crash. Um, I in 1 year, I got hired to be VP of content for health websites, including Whole Foods Market, which had a different kind of website at the time, not selling product, but educating consumers. And that was my job, my content. And that I lost four of those in 1 year in 1999 as they went under. And so I had a 4-year-old daughter. I had an ex-husband who was trying to take my child away from me, not helping me in any way. I had no family support from my family of origin, and I had debt and a mortgage to pay. And just like Amber, I woke up every morning and said, this is the work. Well, I got a download from Spirit that said, how long are you going to bang your head against the wall of not doing your work because you're afraid to stand up for your truth before you finally do it? And I said, well, I'm going to do numerology and I'm going to do my spiritual intuitive work and I'm going to charge money for it because I've given it away to my friends for decades. And now I'm going to make it my career. Everybody around me said, you're crazy. It'll never work. My brother, the lawyer, said, they'll take your child away. And I had to keep communicating with spirit and working so hard to make it work. And I'm here to tell you that because I didn't give up, because I believed in it, I had clients filling my calendar within a couple months. And yes, I went out and gave free talks everywhere. Like I'm telling Amber, go network your idea everywhere and see how you create the flow. And she's doing that. You don't just stay in bed and dream, and you don't expect the check to arrive in your mailbox. You do the work and it flows. And that's magic. And that's what we're all here to do, our true essential work. And you can go read my numerology books. You can read my dream job book to get more specific about what your gift is. Thank you, Amber, for that inspiration.
Or can I just say two other things? One, for those in the room, when you read me 6 years before Jagger transitioned, you said I would be helping people with grief. At the time, it meant nothing to me. I didn't really know anybody in grief. It wasn't on my radar, you know. And I guess the other thing is that I've seen in myself and those around me since knowing you and knowing your work, people take work out of fear,
Yeah.
taking positions out of fear, and then watching it blow up. It's happened
Right.
to me, it's happened to my friends, and it's like, and I now counsel people, you know, if they ask,
Yes.
unsolicitedly, but you know, if you're taking this job that you don't really want because you're afraid, don't do it because it's going to blow
Right.
up in your face.
And not only that, but it takes your focus away. Like I've had so many clients say, "Oh, I'm just going to take this stupid job that I hate, and then I'm going to build my business on the weekend or something." The universe doesn't like that. It's like an all-in kind of flow that we have to be in, you know. And I got to say, there were times, Amber, when I was literally looking at my bank account saying, do I have enough food to feed my daughter today? Do I have enough money to buy gas for my car today? You know, it was that intense. Yet here I am. It always worked. A new client would come and sign up, you know, I'd get an idea for a new workshop. That's the thing. We open ourselves to these ideas that flow to us from the universe. I'll never forget driving along in my car, taking my daughter to school, and I got this download of how I could structure my client sessions so that people would buy a package of sessions, you know, and it would have more money up front. I could pay my mortgage. And this was long before coaching was a thing. I mean, this was way before people were selling these huge, expensive coaching packages. This was all just download from spirit. And I had many friends say, go get a job, go be a cashier at Whole Foods Market or something just to pay, you know, keep the bills paid. And I would like, I can't do it. And part of my thing is, Amber, I can't do those horrible jobs. They make me sick. And they even did then. I would try to get a job out of fear, and my body wouldn't let me walk into the room. And so, those of us who are sensitive, we have those reactions when we're doing the wrong thing or on the wrong path. And we have to listen to that. Thank you so much, Amber, for sharing that. The other piece of it is our 9 year reinvention cycles, you know. And I love teaching that in numerology that, you know, when we're in a 9 year, and by the way, we're in a nine universal year right now, that when we're in that 9 year, it's a time of letting go of the old. And it's a fearful time for us sometimes because we don't see what's coming. We don't understand what the new could look like. And so we go into our fear. And, you know, that year when I lost all those jobs, I was in a nine personal year and I couldn't see what was coming. I mean, where I am now, 20 something years later, I could never have imagined it. In my biggest dreams, never imagined it. And yet I followed every little step that my soul told me was true. And I ended up beyond my wildest dreams. And on the flip side of that, I'll say, and it was really hard. And I had to battle my fear and I had to work hard. This is what Earth is like. It's such a complex state of being for all of us. There's no just happily ever after, easily ever after. This is why we call the angels. This is why this morning I wake up really upset about my baby Kirabo, and I have to instantly pray to the angels, even telling them my great pain first, asking them, do they feel this? Do they understand this pain? Can they make it more accessible to lift out of it? And then they lift me up as I'm saying it. This is the great duality of being human. We can feel enormous pain and sorrow and fear and sadness 1 minute, and the next minute, we're feeling our hearts filled with love and we're feeling courageous. Crazy, crazy human incarnations. But we keep going, we keep trying, we keep lifting up. Anybody else like to share? You have to unmute, if you have a question or an insight or a comment.
I can share.
Beautiful, Susan.
Um, I was off of work for a whole month after my mom passed, and the last week I finally felt some peace. I felt a lot of peace, but then by Friday I was gonna go back to work, and I started having this fear of I'm gonna go to work and then I'm gonna lose my peace, and then I was just so like really I was in fear. So I sat down and I asked my angel if I could have something help me find something to calm this fear. I said, send me something, I don't know, help me.
Yes.
And somehow this book comes and I bought it. And then I knew it was a book that I had to read. And I started reading it. And then it said, no matter how many classes you take, um, how much meditation you do, if you don't do the work.
Right.
So I said, okay, that makes sense. I said, so then it also says that you have to actually ask for help to the angels. And so then I did that all last week when I went back to work. And oh my God, I can tell you that I'm still in peace.
Oh,
That
good.
I would get there and they said, ask Archangel Michael to surround you
Yes.
so you don't have all that people's energy because I work at the hospital
Right.
and then all that fear from people and all that I take it. So then I learned that before they leave I would be like, I love you so much, thank you, and then I just give you back your energy. It's not my energy, it's not my energy. And you know what, it's been working.
Oh,
So and then also I've been I think the angels are teaching me how to listen, because I've been struggling with a few things like I forget this or that. And then I go, wait a minute, I have to ask my angels.
yes.
And then I ask them, and then either I find something or I fix something. So I think I'm struggling so I can learn to listen.
Well, that right
So
there, I think, is the answer to why we suffer. I swear, I think it is, Susie. We have pain so that we remember we are not humans. We have a connection to the higher realms and we ask to be lifted. Oops, my camera just disappeared. I guess the angels lifted me out of the earth body. Oh, I'm still here. I agree with you, Susie. You know, that idea of asking and listening is so important in our human life. Gosh, I don't know what's happening here. Well, I don't know. Ask Jagger to fix my camera, Amber. But I agree with you, Susie, that yes, we have to remember we're more than human and lift our focus up and ask for help. And I love it that you asked the archangels to help you go back into that work environment and not absorb the pain of it. That's beautiful. And that means that for now, yes, you should stay in that job and allow the angels to wrap you and protect you and ask for their help at every step. And the other piece is I love it that you said the book came to you because I've been, walking in a bookstore and a book will literally fly off of a shelf in front of me and I know it's the book I need to read. And I've had other clients tell me that they were in a store and my dream job book or my Bridges to Heaven book jumped off the shelf and landed in front of them. And I'm like, thank you, God, for bringing that book to the people who need it. But we do have to ask, we have to remember that we are not meant to solve it as humans. We're meant to lift up and get help from the divine. Thank you for sharing that story. That's that's beautiful. Anybody else? Okay. It's a quiet Sunday morning, but that's okay. So One of the things we talk about in the Angelic ministry that meets on Monday nights, which I love that class so much, it's tomorrow night. And one of the things we've been talking about there is the stones of human suffering on earth and the idea that the angels can lift those stones from us. Um, and I read this quote from the Bible in that class that talks about the angels moving the stone when Jesus had died so that the women, Mary Magdalene and the women, could see the spirit of Jesus and know that he had transitioned into spirit. It's a beautiful passage in Matthew, and yet Bibles have translated it many different ways. But to me, it means that when the women were grieving Jesus and they went to his grave, that an angel sat there and moved the stone for them of heavy grief and said, "Look, your beloved is in spirit and is right here with you." And think about how they had to go to the grave, ask the angel to move the stone to show them where Jesus was. That's the human part that we have to do. We have to take action in some way to get help, to get lifted up, to get that stone removed from our hearts. And what I've also learned is even if we do nothing, if we stay in our pain, if we stay in our fear, if we stay in our negativity, this world will provide us with some opportunity to feel better. It might be a phone call from a friend that we weren't expecting, or a beautiful sunrise, or something that comes to us unexpectedly to help us lift up. But again, it's free will if we're going to take that step or not. And the easiest way, as we teach in this class, is by calling on the beautiful angels to lift us up. So, what stones would you like us to work on today when I take us into the guided meditation into the higher realms to be with the angels and to feel better? There's the stone of grief, the stone of self-doubt, all of these human struggles. Does anyone have one that they want us to work on today in our guided meditation? Please unmute.
Hi,
Julie.
Julie.
Hi.
Yeah. Um, how about fear about what's going on, especially in the
I knew
US?
you were going to say that because
Oh,
I was just
oh,
thinking if nobody speaks up, I'm going to say, let's remove the stone of disappointment in the world
and fear.
and
So
fear.
much
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah.
My stomach is in knots.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Um, and this brings me back to something I was thinking about that Amber talked about in the last class. I laid out all of these stones that humans suffer with, and I don't want to interrupt the flow and pull out that document, but fear was not listed in there. It was, fear of disappointment in self, and I mean, it was disappointment in self and others. It was grief. It was all these things. And Amber said, "Well, what about fear?" And I said, "Well, fear, I believe, lies at the base of every bad feeling we have. You know how the metaphysical teachings that there's only two feelings in the world, one is love and the other is fear, and that fear takes the costume of anger, and fear takes the costume of disappointment and grief and all these other things." Somebody had, I think, had their hand up or not. Okay. Julie, did you have something else you wanted to say there? Okay. Well, anyway, so how do we maneuver when we see things happening in the world that really terrify us? And then also, we may turn that fear into anger at the world, or disappointment at the world, or criticism of the world. My human self gets afraid about the world and then gets angry. And so I have to go back to healing the core of it, which is fear that the goodness of the world is dissipating, falling apart. And yet we know from the angels, from the light of higher consciousness, that this world cannot go to the darkness, that the light always wins, even when it doesn't feel that way up close. So, how do we live day to day, watching things unfold that terrify us, that anger us, that upset us? There's only one way, and that's for asking help, being lifted into the realms of love where we see the light still moving forward. And as I've taught for years, the darkness has to come up in order to be healed. We have to see the the bad behavior of others, the discrimination, the meanness of humans that really is prevalent in the world today, in order to be able to bring light to that and to transform it for us and for future generations. This is the year, the 9 universal year, where all of that is coming to the surface. When you work in your 9 personal years, you know that when you hit a 9 year, everything you've struggled with, all the pain and darkness and fear, rises up in your life for you to choose. Am I going to move forward with this, or am I going to leave it behind? That's what the universe is doing right now in this 9 universal year. Look at all that meanness, that discrimination, that warlike activity. Are we going to bring this into our new world, or are we going to transform it into something better that serves the greater good of humanity, the light, the compassion, the healing? That's for each of us, but we can get help when we pull back and see it from the higher realms. So if anybody else has another stone to add, speak up now. And if not, I'll just take us into the divine to go and work on the state of the world and our reaction to it. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure everyone is muted, and we're we're lifting into a guided meditation. So let's everybody, where's my, I think it's better when this is not looking at my face. There we go. It's 11:33, says Amber. Beautiful, Amber. All right, let's all take a breath. Inhale. And again. And again. Beloved angels, we come to you once again to be shown the goodness, the light, the love, the higher frequencies that always exist, that we sometimes can't see or can't find. In this moment, we entrust ourselves to the golden light of higher being, to the golden light of unconditional love that comes from the God source. We allow this golden light to pour down through us. That right there is a healing process. Feel that golden light circulating through your blood vessels, through the cells of your body, the bones, the muscles, the tissues of your human self are now being permeated and restored to the golden light of higher consciousness. And with our eyes closed, we see this golden light around us. It makes us smile. It lifts us up. And we let the angels lift us and fly with us. Oh, yes, take us to the higher realms to look at Earth from a distance so that we understand the purpose of the Earth turmoil. where it's headed, what our role is. And the angels are now carrying you through the quantum time and space. The angels are holding us out in space to look at the earth from a distance. Take a moment to recognize the beauty of the earth planet we live on. The darkness, the light, the interplay of light and dark on earth. See the beams of light shooting up from the earth wherever someone is loving another human. Wherever someone helps another, there's a beam of light shooting up from the earth. Wherever someone calls out for help, for angelic lifting up, a beam of light shoots up from the earth. As you see those rays of light, you also see the dark corners where there is fear and hatred manifesting, control, power, greed. And we see it for what it is. It's just the shadow of human behavior. Those who agreed to come to the earth and play the role of the bad person, the bad player. We see it and we're amused by it from this distance. Because from this distance, we see how the slightest love, compassion, prayer poured towards that darkness changes it, illuminates it with light. And we remember how powerful we are as light beings. And right now, see the bad players, the ones who upset you, the ones who you believe are doing harmful things on earth. See them from this distance and see how silly their behavior really is from this higher perspective. And pour pure light, pure love down on their heads. See it pouring around them until you see them laughing, feeling good, feeling loved, so that they no longer feel that need to have so much control and power over others. Heal them with your love. Heal them with your light. Now move to a place on earth that is troubled, a place where humans are suffering. It could be a war zone. It could be an impoverished place. Bring your love, your light from the higher realms. Don't go down into it. See it from this distance now. And open your heart and see yourself pouring the golden light of unconditional love on that entire area. You are surrounding everyone and everything with God's unconditional love. And there's no more fear then. And the pain begins to be transformed individually for each person to have a moment of peace, a moment of healing, a moment of feeling so loved bringing hope back to those people who suffer, showing them a pathway out of their pain, giving them an idea of what to do next. And you see them now looking at you with love, like they feel your love, and they're grateful. And go back to the world leaders that you're concerned about, afraid of. Open your heart again. Pour that golden light of God's unconditional love on them. See them looking up at you, wondering what that is, where that comes from. Feeling transformed by it. Wanting to take off the robe of their the role they're playing on earth. Drop the costume. Stand on the stage and instead bring love, bring hope to the world. Hold them in that vision now. See future things unfolding on earth that are not frightening, that are healing, that are loving, that are humans helping and loving each other. And now look at your own life from a distance, from this place in the space being held by angels, looking at the earth globe. Focus on your life, your home, your loved ones, and pour that unconditional love on the whole family, community, area where you live. Sending so much unconditional love that you see your earth self laughing and remembering how very good life can be. And your loved ones lifting up to feel so inspired by goodness, healed, empowered. And now we thank the angels. We let them carry us back into our earth lives, knowing that we can't step back into the darkness once we have seen the light that is so much greater than any darkness, the light that transforms all darkness, removes all shadow, awakens all bad players on earth. And so we feel this higher frequency. We take it into our heart chakra. We commit to walking through our day, walking through our week, walking through our month with this sense of the light pouring out of us to the world. And so it is. Thank you all so much. If anybody has anything to say, you can unmute. All right, everybody. I hope that helped lift you up. I hope it helped give you a different view of the world And remember, we have to choose what we focus on, and that's the great duality of life. Yes, pain is real on earth, and yes, our soul can be lifted above it to see it differently, to shift our frequency. And that is how we change the world and change ourselves. Thank you for joining me today. Amber, did you want to say something?
Oh, just thank you. I love you. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Love you. Love you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
beloveds. And I'll see you next month, I guess, unless you belong to my Patreon. You can go to my numerology class in a couple weeks on Patreon as well. Love you, love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.